in, everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. And, of course, we have Stat Guy and McLovin in the house. How's it going, guys?
It's going. It's going.
Well, that sounds enthusiastic. It's Friday for the rest of us, so we're in a better mood than you, I guess.
Well, I mean, I left Florida at 84 degrees yesterday. I landed in Minnesota at 32 degrees and snow, and it took me 6 hours to get home as opposed to 4 hours because we had 2 hours of dense fog where we could not see more than 3 feet in front of us.
Perfect.
Great time.
If there was ever a tourism note, it says don't come to Minnesota.
No, don't land in Minnesota this time of year, apparently.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
When I lived up north, I didn't mind the cold weather and stuff like that. It wasn't too bad. I got used to it after a while. And that's coming from somebody from Texas, for crying out loud.
Yeah, but being in 85-degree weather for 8 straight days and then landing in that's you can't really get used to that instantly.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that. Like when we moved down to Mexico, flying home to visit, you leave there, it's 83, 84. You get here and it's like 38 and raining and wind, and you're just like, oh yeah, why did I come here again?
Why did I leave?
I said I couldn't live where you live, Bo, because like you said, it rains too much, and I'd be out there washing my car every day. It seems like that would drive my OCD out the wing game, man. I mean, I'd be all over the place.
The thing that's funny about that is we're always depicted as crazy amounts of rain, which is great. I'm glad they depict us that way because it keeps the flow of people moving to Seattle a little bit lower until they actually arrive here and they realize that it really doesn't rain as much as they like to report.
It's like 2 or 3 months out of the year that's bad, right? And that's like November through like February-ish.
Yeah, so November it legitimately rains most of the month. That is when we have windstorms. I mean, the weather is bad in November here for sure. Summers are absolutely beautiful. But
I bet they are beautiful. Seriously, seriously.
February, there's been tons of Februaries that I've actually taken my motorcycle out.
Oh wow, that's nuts.
So it's it's not terrible out. Hey, what's happening, man?
Hey, it's nice and warm here. If that's what you guys are.
And he's gone.
Yeah, there he is.
He's trying to pull a me today and talk on the phone while driving.
I'm still trying to get used to seeing Pags with a goatee. It's so weird seeing it with the goatee now.
Only for a few more days.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get used to Pags looking like a normal person.
Look. Oh, right.
Yes, I am a real person.
No, I said looking normal, like no hair color, no bright face paint, no like you have a sports shirt on, but no jersey related shirt. You look like a normal working person today.
How about that? So, see, I'm going to the Hall of Fame luncheon for LaShawn McCoy.
Yep.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Shady.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So the leading rusher all time for the Eagles is going to be put into the Eagles Hall of Fame.
Very nice.
Absolutely. Very nice. And when there's plenty of houses, they're just all very expensive in the Seattle area.
I'm sure that you can find a really nice house down in what's that other part of Seattle? Tacoma.
Yeah, but you gotta live next to some weird people. And weirdly, it's also still very expensive.
Yeah, I would love to go to Seattle because I would love to go see Kurt Cobain's house. Like that would be awesome to go see.
I appreciate that. When I'll be honest, it's not going to be around much longer.
Doesn't Eddie Vedder live up there too, Bo?
Yeah. No, there's quite a few stars that live up here to try and disappear.
So, are you going to go to Seattle really to disappear, or are you going to go to like Idaho? I'd be willing to bet that you could get lost in Idaho very easily, or like Montana,
or North Dakota. Either one of the Dakotas.
Yeah, but it takes a long time to get anywhere. So
Oh, yeah.
in Seattle, you can still end up remote, but still be really close to an international airport.
Hey, listen, if
You
you have that type
don't
of
have to
money, do you
drive.
really need?
What's
Do you
that?
really need your own an international airport if you have that type of money?
Yeah. So that you can get in a plane big enough to carry the fuel.
Well, I'll be honest with you. If me personally, if I had that kind of money, first thing I would do is go get my pilot's license and then find smaller airports to get me to a bigger airport. So it wouldn't take that long at all.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the property, pull the John Travolta and have an airstrip
Oh,
in your
yeah.
front yard.
Let's be honest. Why even get a plane? Just get you a helicopter, and you can, because you didn't even have to do a runway or anything. You just have to have a little wide open space, and you can just go to any airport you want to in a helicopter.
Yeah, well, I mean,
can you? You can't. You can't do that. The helicopters are not allowed in airports.
so they can land there. They have different restrictions of how they have to approach, but you can land a chopper at an airport. And you can actually get one relatively cheap. You don't have to have crazy money. You can get one of the like 3-person choppers for like, $100K. So for about the same price as a Tesla, you can get a helicopter, avoid all that traffic. And there's also kind of weird aviation laws where you can fly a helicopter under 150 feet without a license.
It has to be a certain size of helicopter because I do know some people that actually do that.
It has to be small, right? Borderline
Correct.
experimental sized aircraft, but under 150 feet, which is a scary concept.
I mean, if you guys have seen the new Beverly Hills Cop, that would be me trying to fly a helicopter under 150 feet.
I mean, you'd probably run into some trees here in this.
No, I'd probably drive into a building.
And those vehicles you could buy one of those vehicles for like $40,000.
Yeah, some of those real small ones. Yeah, you can, especially if you get a used one. Yeah, you can get them 40, 50K, no problem.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're in that world, you know where to find them. You know what I mean? Because they keep them within their own. That's the hard part about doing that. But you have to put in the 600 hours of flying, so that's not as simple. Like I was starting to look into that. I really thought that. I'd love to get my pilot's license.
Sure,
but I mean, ultimately, it's a lot of money. And once you have it, it helps you. It doesn't help you if you don't have a plane.
Yes. Yeah. No, like if I were to do it, I would get a helicopter license for sure.
Yeah.
Especially because where we live, we have one of the small airports. I can throw a rock at it. Like it's
right there. Yeah.
It's right on the other side of the river from me, which, it's legitimately about 1.5 miles away, 2 miles away.
So you had a little helicopter. You could just shoot right over to the airport, and you wouldn't have to deal with all the traffic. You could just boop, boop, down.
Yeah, you just pop down to the little airstrip, and then it would make visiting my parents a whole lot easier, being as they live a couple hours away.
Yeah.
Avoid all that traffic. Just off you go. Like that'd be fun too. Like
I wonder what the range
jump in the helicopter.
I wonder what the range is on one of those helicopters. Like, is it just a few hundred miles or
about 1,000 miles? I think before.
Oh, not on the little experimental ones.
Oh no, the experimental ones. No, those are like 300. I think 400 maybe.
Yeah, tops.
Maybe it's gonna go about as far as a car does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and you can't just land in somebody's backyard. You know what I mean? That usually tends to get people a little bit
pissy.
freaked out.
Yeah. Mostly their neighbors. Their neighbors get a little uptight about it.
Could you imagine if Pags was all painted up in a helicopter and just lands in somebody's backyard and gets out and says, "Hey guys, I'm here for the barbecue. Where's it at?"
What are you talking about? He'd be delivering turkeys. Just dropping them out of the helicopter.
Way back to WKRP.
Exactly.
The WKRP. See, now you've definitely dated yourself there.
Oh, I know.
Because I know what you're talking about. I know exactly. I bet you either one of those guys have no clue. Maybe Jay.
I saw WKRP in Cincinnati. I know that.
Oh yeah.
That was
Oh, man.
probably one of the
Hey, what was
best
that- what was the
episodes of all
secretary-
time.
Hey, what was
I
it?
figured
Was
this
it Lonnie?
panel. I figured this panel would get it. The people watching maybe not, but I figured the panel would.
What was the blonde's name? That the secretary, was that Lonnie Anderson or something like that, or what
That's
her
who it
name?
was. It was Lonnie Anderson. Was her
Yeah.
real name?
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Man, but listen, that show was hilarious. My favorite character was
agree.
Lester. Oh, Lester was awesome. The weather guy. Or no, is he the weather guy? No, he was a news guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he
was the one
main-
always going to report the news, like out on the scene.
Yeah, he was the main guy for that Thanksgiving episode.
Yes.
Oh, the humanity. And anybody that hasn't seen it, it is a classic. You can probably find it on YouTube. I would
Oh
definitely
yeah,
check.
you can find it all over the place. It's not hard to find.
At least that clip of it anyway, right? You wouldn't even have to watch the whole thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that
Exactly.
was yeah. Dang, well, they don't make shows like that anymore. You know, nowadays those shows aren't as good. In our childhood, I felt like we had better shows in our childhood than what we get now.
I don't know. Maybe
Subjective.
different.
Subjective, yeah.
Yeah, maybe different. Maybe that's the word. Different.
So
Yeah, there we
But
go.
listen, talking about all the humanity. Here's what I got to
That's
talk about.
wrestling.
First off, since we are a sports show and we did just happen to have the World Series end, how about them Yankees? That's called an official bad poop. That is a bad poop. I walked out of the bar because I was watching the game and I was playing darts and I had to go upstairs. It was 5-0. I came down literally like 6 minutes later. It was 5-5, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what happened?"
There's so many.
I mean, realistically, you look at how that series played out. The Yankees should be up 3-2 right now.
I'll say this. What happened in that game and why they lost was Canely. That Canely, he throws way too many changeups, and in the first couple of games, okay, you can kind of get away with it, okay, whatever. But in that game when he came out, they had already figured him out, and they knew that he was going to be throwing changeups. And that really
you're in a 7-game series against one team. It's just like the way minor league baseball set up now, where every series is 6 games. You're going to know what every pitcher throws by game 5 of that series because you're going to see him 2 or 3 times in that series.
Oh, for sure.
Hence exactly what happened with Alvarado and Yadalier, whatever his guy who hit the 500-foot home run, 22.
Jordan Alvarez.
I mean, that was the 5th. Yeah, he was the one who wound up. He wound up facing him 5 times in that series, and he was 0 for 4 going into that 5th at bat. That 5th at bat was the only one that I remember.
Yeah, you're right. But I think at some point, I was telling Frankie because Frankie's a diehard Yankee fan. I said at some point, Judge. He's great during the regular season, but man, you get that guy in the postseason and he just disappears. Like he is nowhere to be found.
I mean, you could make the same case about Shohei in the World Series because Shohei did nothing in the World Series.
No, I understand. Yep. But I feel like Shohei because even leading up to when he hurt his shoulder, he really wasn't doing much either.
Yeah, he did not. He was like 1 for his last 27 or 1 for his last 28 in the postseason. Like he did pretty much nothing after that opening series.
Yeah, the post game destroying the city was definitely entertaining.
That was the next thing I was going to talk about, all the humanity. Yep. Like how bad, does LA look?
It's pretty rough. They burned that bus to the ground. There's some pretty gnarly video of a guy blowing his hands off. Some craziness.
This is the first time that LA has had that kind of experience. I mean, they've had other riots and stuff like that. I mean, that just seems to be the knack on LA when they win. Let's go burn some stuff. Let's go.
Well, I mean, you look at it, though. The Yankees self-destructed in that 5th inning against the Dodgers, where a drop fly ball, a terrible throw from Anthony Volpe to third base, and then Garrett Cole forgets that Anthony Rizzo is a 37-year-old first baseman with a back problem and needs to cover first base. All three of those.
What's up with that? Why did he just stop running? I mean, like, what the hell are you doing?
All three of those plays basically led to 5 runs. You take that inning away.
Well, but some of that though was Conley though too. I mean, you could say it was probably a combination of all of it, right? I mean,
No, because when Canley came into the game, it was what 6-5 Yankees. So it's not like he's the one that gave up 5 runs. It was the defense that literally allowed 5 unearned runs. You take that inning out of that game, the Yankees probably win that game. And then same thing with game 1. The Yankees had 4 errors in game 1, which led to 4 unearned runs, and the Yankees lost that game 6-3. Those are 2 games the Yankees should have had. So theoretically, the Yankees could be up 3-2 in this series. Just had 2 terrible innings, which led to basically 9 unearned runs on 7 errors in 2 innings. And that's sometimes all it takes.
That's how you lose games. I mean, they shouldn't be up because they played like crap.
But yeah,
no, they really did. I mean, you're not lying.
The error on Aaron Judge, he's going to catch that ball 99 out of 100 times. It's just that he kind of peeked at the base runner before catching the ball, hit him in the heel of the glove. He couldn't close it. The error on Volpe, I'm not going to blame Volpe that much just because he had to hurry the throw because Kiki Hernandez got such a good jump on that ground ball to shortstop that he had to hurry the throw, and it was going to be a close play anyways. But that play on Garrett Cole, yes, I understand that Rizzo's probably closer to the base than you are, but you have to understand the type of player Rizzo is. He's a 36-year-old first baseman who has a back problem, and he's not going to run to first if he doesn't have to. You have to get off the mound and cover that, especially being a right-handed pitcher. You're already fading to first base on that pitch anyway, so just keep going and take the throw, and the inning's over, and you would have been up, 5-0 or even 5-1.
Yeah, I don't know how you just stop. Like, how do you just stop? That makes no sense. When he did that, I was talking to Frank. I was like, why the hell did he just stop?
Well, and you could tell that he was prepping to throw it to first and then was like, oh, I guess you're not.
Yeah, he did because he got it. He got it. He spun around. He was like half underhanding it to first. He's like, oh, shit, nobody's here. And then he just hung on to the ball. He's like, well, that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. And then a run scores. And yeah, I mean, it was pretty bad. When the thing is the destroying stuff has less to do with the celebration and it has more to do with the people that do that would be trying to destroy stuff anyway. They are opportunistic in the way that they can do it under the cover of a crowd. So had it been anything else that had a ton of people downtown, they're going to do the same stuff. It has less to do with anybody winning anything. It has more to do with those particular people are assholes.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty accurate.
Man, there's some classics in this in this. We got Airwolf. You guys remember that one?
I do remember.
I remember Airwolf, but I never watched it.
The other one.
Hey, what was the other one? Blue Thunder or something like that?
No. Street Hawk was the motorcycle version of it.
Yeah.
And they were all knockoffs of Knight Rider.
I'm about to say, you might as well just talk about Kit.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there's some classics in here. The Honeymooners.
Oh, jeez.
Magnum PI.
Yeah, you're really going.
You guys remember?
Magnum PI was the shit, man. Tom Selleck was on point in that show. Let me tell you, and that Ferrari was nice.
Do you guys remember Thunder in Paradise?
No,
I don't remember that one.
It was like
I remember the title, but I don't remember.
So it was basically like a mix of like Miami Vice, MacGyver, and another show put together. And it was Hulk Hogan and Jesse the Body Ventura were basically the cops in that movie, and the whole movie was based on their speedboat, which was called Thunder. And then they lived in Paradise.
I remember this actually. Yes,
that show was actually really good.
I mean, I don't know if I would categorize it as really good. But
I feel like if it was really good, we'd all be watching it if it was really good.
Some of these things you look back on, at the time you're like, oh yeah, that show was awesome. And you go watch it today, you're like, oh yeah, wow. Like Greatest American Hero. That's a good one to go catch an episode of on YouTube. Yeah. That is terrible.
You know what show I still watch today that was done like 30 years ago, and I'm still going to keep watching it because it's a great show? The Fresh Prince.
Okay. And Rob was right here. Some of these wouldn't be allowed on TV anymore. Married with Children.
Oh yeah, Married with
Absolutely.
Definitely all of the family. There's no way Archie Bunker is gonna be allowed on TV today. There's just no way.
Yeah. So Gilligan's Island. This one always cracked me up.
That's a good show.
No, it cracks me up because the premise of it is stupid. So they go on a 3-hour tour, and no one can find them.
Right.
Yeah, like how far could you possibly have gotten in 3 hours, literally?
3-hour tour. They ended up in the Bermuda Triangle and never came back.
Right? It's like,
and I'm sorry, how many times do people go to that island and they promise to take them off of the island, only to never take them off the island? Like, how many times do you honestly do that?
And then you go with the fact that they're on a 3-hour tour and they brought enough clothes to last a lifetime.
Right.
How many clothes?
How does the skipper? Because the Gilligan, they always wear the same clothes. How do those clothes never get holes or they never get dirty and they're always nice and prim? I got a feeling if you're on a desert island that something's getting dirty.
There's no doubt. Here we go, Lincoln Financial.
Just showing you.
Yeah.
And obviously, here we go. Congratulations.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
The
So-
18 has a good show.
Well, anyways, guys, now that I'm here and you guys are talking about nothing, I'm going to go ahead and disappear.
Right on. Have fun at the lunch,
That's
man.
not our fault. That was Bo's fault talking about all these shows, Pags. We were going to talk sports today. But you have a good time out there.
I said my piece about the Yankees. They blew it.
Yep. Well, and we're still going to talk about the terrible game that happened last night.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Fun at the
Well,
lunch,
you
man.
guys can talk about that. I'll talk to you guys later.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
have a good day, Pags.
Yeah.
See you.
So getting back to that Yankee series for a second, what were your thoughts on Freddie Freeman?
Killing it.
Like Freddie Freeman entered cheat mode in the World Series and basically said, "I want to be Shohei Ohtani in this series since he doesn't want to be."
I mean, there was nobody even remotely close in the MVP race.
Well, that's what I was
nobody.
telling my son when we were watching Game 5 the other day. He's like, "Who's gonna win the MVP?" I'm like, "Freddie Freeman had that locked up after Game 2."
Yeah. What did he do? What, 3 or 4 consecutive? It was 3 consecutive games. with a
6
home run,
consecutive World Series games with a home run. The first 4 of this World Series, and then the last 2 of the previous World Series he was in with Atlanta. So 6 consecutive games with a home run in the
right? I mean,
World
that's
Series,
nuts.
and then
That is
14 RBIs in a 5-game series.
Yeah, no, that is amazing.
I was telling Frankie, I don't understand why Boone kept pitching to him. I'm like, just walk him.
Because of the Dodgers lineup, you don't have a choice. You can't afford
you got
to
a choice. I think you always have a choice.
No, because you can't afford to put
Come on.
guys on base. Because even behind Freddie Freeman, you have Teoscar Hernandez, who hit like a 333 in the World Series and came up with the biggest hit to tie the game in the World Series.
Guaranteed almost to hit you a home run. I'm gonna take my chances. Let's put it that way. I'm gonna take my chances and walk
But
him.
the problem with it was, and I will agree with you that there are certain instances where I wouldn't pitch to him. But look at how many guys are on base in front of Freddie Freeman. You don't get 14 RBIs unless there's guys on base in front of you. So can you afford to walk him and load the bases, or you don't really have?
Yeah, you're right. Because him hitting those home runs and driving all those runs in, I guess you could afford.
That's
that.
why, like even with Shohei not hitting, the number 8 and number 9 hitters combined to hit a 356 in that lineup. So the number 8 and number 9 guys were getting on base. Mookie Betts was usually getting on base. So by the time Freeman came up, he always had 2 guys on base. You had to pitch to him.
Well, not just that, you figure he hits that grand slam in the first game.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Walk or run home?
Yeah. Like you literally had no choice but to pitch to him because the guys they normally get out.
Look, if it's a bases loaded situation, I understand you have to pitch to him. But there were times when there was nobody on base and they were still pitching to him. And I'm like, dude, just walk him. Just walk him and go to the next guy. That's what I would.
Well, I mean,
He had 8 hits in the series. 6 of the 8 hits came with guys on base, and all 6 of those hits drove in runs. So, I mean, there wasn't really many chances where he came up where guys were not on base.
I mean, even as game 2, he hits that 2-run shot. It was the first at bat.
Yeah.
I mean,
And look at the hit that he had against the that he was robbed in Game 4 when Aaron Judge robbed him of that basically double in Game 5. That pitch was like 4 or 5 inches outside. All he did was stick the bat out of it, and he hit it 394 feet the opposite way. So even when they tried to pitch around him, he was still making hard contact.
Oh yeah, no, it was. I mean, again, clear cut MVP. Like it couldn't have been an easier MVP race.
Now hold on. Let me say this. In that game, right? You had Freeman who went 1 for 4, but he had Mookie Betts ahead of him. He went 1 for 3.
Mm-hmm.
But literally after Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez. Well, okay, he does go 2 for 4, so I'll give you that.
And he tied the game. With a double.
But there was a lot of 0 for 4s and 0 for 3s too.
Yeah,
but I do understand what you're saying about Teoscar Hernandez.
Yeah.
I mean, he was getting on base.
And the thing with Freddie Freeman, though, his one hit that he had in Game 5 drove in 2 runs because the bases were loaded in front of him.
Yeah.
You had to pitch to him, and they pitched to him, and he had a 2-run single up the middle. 3 pitches later, Teoscar Hernandez hits a 2-run double off the wall to tie the game. Like, that was the situation that Freddie Freeman was in, where even if you didn't want to pitch to him, you kind of didn't have a choice because there was always 1 or 2 guys on base in front of him where you couldn't afford to put anybody else on base.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why Shohei struggled as much as Shohei did, because he was 1 for his last 27. I think he was 1 for 16 or 1 for 17 in the World Series. Like, he couldn't hit it all. So
No, but he got walked a couple of times.
Yeah, so you could either walk him or they could get Ohtani to chase because he was getting overly aggressive. So so the Yankees could actually approach Ohtani much different in this series as opposed to what the Mets could do, and as opposed to what forgot who the Dodgers played the first round. Whoever they played in the first round, how they could approach Ohtani, where Ohtani was the one guy where you didn't want to pitch to him, but you didn't have a choice because there was guys in front of him. This was the one series where you could afford to go after Ohtani because he was struggling so much because you knew he wasn't going to beat you. But then it became oh, crap, now we got to pitch to Mookie Betts. Oh, he got a single. But now I have 2 guys on for Freddie Freeman. Oh, shit, 3-0.
Yep. Well, I mean, was
it the Mets they played in the first round?
No, they played the Mets in the NLCS.
Yeah.
I can't remember who the hell they played in the first round.
Nobody memorable.
Because the Phillies played the Braves.
No, it wasn't the Phillies because the Phillies
played the Mets.
Yeah.
Oh, Dodgers and Padres.
Right.
Padres.
Padres.
Yeah,
that's
Padres.
right.
That's right.
And that was a series where Mookie Betts couldn't hit anything.
Yeah.
So it was pretty much Shohei. You didn't have to pitch to Mookie Betts. Freddie Freeman was battling an ankle injury that series, so you didn't have to pitch to those 2. Shohei single-handedly beat the Padres in 2 of those 5 games because he came up and hit a grand slam. He came up and hit a 3-run homer, but nobody else in that lineup could do anything.
Yep. Yeah, no, Freeman absolutely just balled out in the World Series. Like, he went from playing okay to, every cheat code ever. He was just like, all right, we're going to use them all right now.
We're going to use extra big bat on small ball mode. Boom.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, no, I mean, it was cool, like, because Ohtani and Judge basically took themselves out. Like, they were non-factors for either team.
I mean, Judge actually had his last 2 games. Judge kind of started to figure it out, but at that point, it was too little, too late.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, you kind of thought that Game 5 could have went the Yankees' way until they started playing like Little League ball, where they're just making errors nonstop, and you're just like, oh, okay, you guys are trying to lose.
And the sad part is, the sad part about that is, even with the drop fly ball that Judge had, and even with that throwing error that Volpe had, they still should have got out of that inning without giving up a run, because if Garrett Cole covers first on that ground ball to Rizzo, the inning is over, and you're still up 5-0. Yeah. Because Betts ends up driving 1 run in on that play. Freeman comes up with a 2-run single, and then that's followed by the Teoscar double. So they could have still got out of that inning with no runs coming in if they make that one play they should have made.
Yeah. And so Garrett Cole has nobody to blame but himself. He ate the breakfast of champions.
That's right.
I love it. I love that. Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, man, I mean, you're right. If he doesn't stop, which I still don't, I mean, that's a fundamental baseball move. Pitcher always goes to first, and I don't understand why.
Well, I mean, like I said, in Cole's defense, Rizzo's a lot closer to that. Rizzo's a lot closer to that bag than Cole is. So there are like those, like if Freddie Freeman makes that play, Freeman's going to the bag and he's not flipping it. So like there are certain instances where the pitcher knows like you're closer to the bag, you're going to take it.
Sure.
But Cole needs to know who is at first base. He needs to know that situation where Mookie Betts is a fast base runner. He's not going to go 50, 60% down that first baseline. He's going to give you 90% to 100% where you need to cover because Rizzo's not going to beat him to the base in a foot race.
Oh, absolutely. No, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think no matter who's on first, my natural instinct is always going to be to go to first, regardless. I mean, I think that's just that. When I played baseball, that was our natural instinct.
Yep.
But it is what it is. And yeah, Freddie Freeman. I mean, you got to tip your hat to the guy, right? I mean, he played a hell of a great game. And in all honesty, when I see these big $100 billion, like these $600-700 million contracts, I think Freddie Freeman is one that actually plays and deserves that type of contract because you're going to get consistent production from him versus a guy like Ohtani. You're giving this guy what $700 million, whatever it is.
Well, that's the thing with Freeman,
he's
though.
disappearing in the playoffs. Like, come on, bro. You're getting.
That's the thing with Freeman, though. He gives you consistent production.
Yeah.
But his consistent production is 30 homers and 90 to 95 RBIs. Like, he's not that. I'm not going to call him a superstar because he's not a guy that's going to give you 50, 60 home runs and drive in 120 runs.
But he does show up when it counts, though, right?
Yeah, he shows up when it counts, but you're not giving him a $35-40 million a year contract because 30 home runs in baseball now is nothing out of the ordinary.
Well, and I understand that. I mean, to your point, I understand what you're saying. My thing is, I would rather have a guy like Freddie Freeman, who I know when we go to the playoffs, this guy's going to perform, rather than giving the big bag to Ohtani or Judge, only for them to basically disappear when it comes playoff time. Because nobody cares about the regular season as much.
When it comes to Ohtani, though, too, this was the first time that Ohtani's ever been in the playoffs. So nobody knew how he was going to perform when you got deeper into the playoffs. And like the first round, he played like an MVP that first round. Like he carried the Dodgers against the Padres. Even the first half of the Mets series, he was still a one-man wrecking crew in that series. It was once you got to the end of the NLCS into the World Series where Shohei kind of fell off. And I know a lot of people are going to point to his shoulder as a big reason why he struggled in the World Series. Maybe that is why he struggled. Maybe it was because of his shoulder.
You saw when he was running. Every time he ran, he was always holding that shoulder when he was running.
He wasn't exactly tearing the cover off the ball before he got hurt, though.
Oh no, yeah.
But I'm just saying, like the World Series, I can kind of give him a little bit of a pass on because if his shoulder really was bothering him as much as it looked, I'm going to give him more credit for trying to play through the pain as opposed to being like, oh, you just couldn't hit the ball. Now, if he goes into the playoffs next year and can't do anything again, then we can start talking about him on that same wavelength as we do with Aaron Judge, where they're great regular season players, but when the lights get bright, they kind of disappear. I'm not going to put Shohei in that category yet until I can see what he does in that same situation next year if the Dodgers were to make it back to the World Series and he's 100% healthy. I want to see that version first before I can say he's on that not worth the money in the playoffs type of thing.
Well, I mean, it's not like he didn't play well early in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like he didn't show up in the World Series. We watched Judge do something very similar, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
absolutely.
It's not like it doesn't happen.
How many times did he strike out in the World Series? I think it was like 7 times. Wasn't it like 7 times he struck out in the World Series?
Something like that. Yeah, he struck out 3 times in Game 5.
Yeah. I mean,
he struck out 3 times in Game 1 too. Oh, well, it must be like 10 times. So I know he struck out 3 times in Game 1. He struck out 3 times in Game 2. That's like 6.
Mm-hmm.
So he must have struck out like 9 or 10 times.
I will tell you who earned his $34 million though, and it's somebody that nobody's talked about for God knows how long. Freaking Giancarlo Stanton went into beast mode in the World Series.
Yeah, no, but because nobody talked about it because he hadn't done shit. But then
he
go
went
to the playoffs, and this
into
guy
beast
is like
mode.
reborn.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean he's reborn in the playoffs, right? I mean it's crazy.
I can't agree. I can't say that because my argument with the Ohtani contract last year when they gave him the $70 million was this. If you're paying him just to be a hitter, 100% a hitter only, nothing else, is he a $35 million a year player? The guy gives you 50 homers, 120 RBIs every year. He's worth $35 million a year. If you were paying him to be a pitcher only, just pitch, would he be worth $30 million a year? Most likely because he's a Cy Young candidate.
I mean, even
That's
like
what I was going to say. He
look,
could
all
win
the
his
big,
guy.
That's
all
what I'm
the
saying.
big
Like if he's
players,
worth 30
like
million,
25, 27 million, 27 million is probably more of a fair, accurate number than 30. I don't think
he would get 30 because he's an ace. He'd get the 30.
That's the thing.
Yeah, but again, Scherzer was an ace. DeGrom
But even at the even at that point though,
they're not getting 20 or 30 million.
yeah, but even at that point, Scherzer's getting 34. Even
Is
at that
Scherzer
point,
34 million?
Yeah. Even at and DeGrom's at 41.
Okay, for some reason I had it in my mind that they were in the high 20s.
No. So even at that point, though, if you're getting
they're making money.
yeah. So even at that point, though, if you're getting paid $35 million a year to be a hitter and $30 to $35 million a year to be a pitcher, put that together, you're a $70 million a year player because Ohtani's going to be an annual MVP candidate and an annual Cy Young candidate when he's healthy. That's literally two of the best players in the world in one guy. He's worth the money that he's getting paid. He's literally the only player in baseball that you can say is worth that kind of money because you look at what he does with the bat, you look at what he does with the arm. If that's all he wanted to focus on, he would be $30 to $35 million a year at just one of those positions. Now that he plays two, you have to account for that when you sign them.
No, for sure.
The unfortunate thing is with that Tommy John or with his throwing issue is that
It's
he
Tommy
hasn't
John.
been a two-way player. He's been only a one-way player for a long period of time.
Yeah, really, just this year. He
Yeah,
just
that's
said,
what I'm saying.
just-
But isn't this like? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is the first year of that contract for him, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
that's what I'm
he
saying.
even missed part of the year coming back from it, even as a hitter. So I mean,
yeah. And he still said a 50-50 season, missing like a month, really. I mean, he was ready opening day, but he only had like 3 home runs in April because he was so far behind because of the injury, and he still had a 50-50 season.
yeah,
Like,
no, I mean, he was killing it.
Last year before the injury, he was with the Angels. He was 13-3 with a 2.46 ERA pitching. Like he would have been a 20-game winner had his elbow not blown out.
Exactly.
I don't think I don't think Soto is going to be staying with the Yankees. I think what he's going to command on the market.
He's not going to be the highest.
He winds up being a damn Dodger, to be honest with you.
He's not going to be the highest paid player for one reason.
Because he's going to the Dodgers.
No, it's because of the length. It's because of the length of the contract. He's going to want a 12 to 14 year deal because he's 26 years old.
Sure.
I still think he's going to get $600 million because that's probably what he's going to get.
Yeah.
But if you're signing him for 10 years, 12 years at $600 million, you're getting $55 million a year. He's not going to top what Shohei's getting in terms of AAV.
Oh, I didn't figure he would. I mean, he'll be in the conversation for one of the top paid guys, but he's not going to break Ohtani's.
No.
That being said,
I mean, to your point, I mean, Ohtani, they were paying him as a two-way player, so he wouldn't top that.
no, exactly.
He'll probably be the highest. He'll probably be the highest paid straight position player ever. I think he gets. I think he gets $600 million. I think he gets 12 years at $600 million, which is basically $50 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, the way the contracts are going, I don't know why you wouldn't.
I'll tell you one thing. If I'm Trout, I'm trying to get my ass out of Anaheim or off the Angels at any point I can. I mean, I just think that poor guy is just wasting away over there with the Angels.
But do you feel bad for him though? This is kind of this
all
is
that
kind
money
of,
he's got. Why would I feel bad for anybody who's got that much money?
I'm not talking about the money though. This is the same situation that Damian Lillard ran into in Portland.
Well,
He could have gotten out of Portland how long? And yet he kind of showed that loyalty card where he's like, I'm going to stay with Portland and see what you do, to the point where it's like, all right, you traded away CJ McCollum. You traded away this person. You traded away this person. Now I want to leave. Trout's the same way. Like there are numerous, he didn't have to sign the extension he signed with the Angels.
Sure.
He did it because he wanted to be loyal to that team. And he's been one of the most loyal players in baseball. I got to give him the credit for that because the Angels have done him no favors. Yet he still decides to stick around. If there was a time to leave, now would be the time. But do you honestly think that he's going to even ask to leave? Because he could have left probably 4 or 5 times by now, and he keeps saying, "No, I'm going to stay here."
Yes. Yeah. No, they make some pretty good money. You do got to stay in the bigs though. If you go down to AAA, you don't make any money.
Yeah, peanut.
Triple A you do. Double A and single A you don't.
Well, those you really don't. But even AAA, when you're comparing it to the bigs.
Well, yeah, I mean, most AAA players are getting, depending on the contract, most AAA players are getting about $225,000 a year, which plenty of money to live off of.
Sure, but it's not something you can retire on.
Depending on how long you're in AAA.
If I was getting $225 million, I'd be fucking sad. Jeez.
See, the thing that's funny is when you're playing sports, there's a lot of money that comes out of.
I know. 'Cause you got to pay your agent. You got to pay for like all your nutrition. I mean, there's a lot of things you got to pay for.
Well, you're also paying and then you got to pay in all the cities you play in. I mean, like there's some weird stuff that goes into sports.
Yeah,
that costs them a lot of money. So I
mean, people don't take that into account. Like they say, oh, the sports players make this, and I'm like, yeah, that's before taxes. That's before they pay for this. That's before they pay for that.
That's why I would never want to play for a team that's in in California or New York. I'm gonna try to get on with like anybody who plays like in Georgia or Texas, where you don't have to pay that state tax. You only got to pay the federal tax, right?
I mean, Shohei's probably still going to make $51 million a year after the taxes anyway, so I don't think he really cares.
Yeah, but we were just talking about AAA players making $200K.
Hey, you gotta stay with the context of the conversation, Dan.
I mean, so
you're just reaching around for.
Well, remember when we had Connor on the program?
They're talking about baseball, and then he goes to basketball. Well, Damian Lillard, no, right. Damian Lillard, say the baseball, damn it.
Remember when we had Connor on the program a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
He's only making 52,000 a year.
Yeah, of course.
So he's probably taking home 30,000, maybe 33,000.
Yeah. No, I mean, unless you have the top level crest on your jerseys, you don't make a lot of money. Like it's just part of it. And not making money is why you should try some sports betting.
No, because then you could be even hurting for money.
Well, as long as you have someone else do it for you, you don't get in trouble. Use the QR code on the screen for Bet Us. It's 125% deposit bonus for your first three deposits. Man, I'm struggling. Ready for Friday to be done, I guess. There is a 10% bet guarantee if you happen to be bad at it, like me reading this card right now. But use that QR code and bet right alongside us here at Coast to Coast. And of course, if you are here in the Pacific Northwest, you can use this QR code to go to any of the True Fusion gyms, whether it's Bellevue, Ballard, or University Village. Free 5-day pass, Pilates, boot camp, yoga, bar, and hot rooms. Find your edge at True Fusion Gym.
Why do I feel like we should be putting up the 1-800 number after we do the Bet US? Like between Bet US and True Fusion, there should be like an 800 number where if you had a hard time with the bet 125%, please call this 800 number and we will get you counseling help.
Well, I mean, that's the that's the disclaimer. Like some restrictions apply. If you have trouble with gambling, call this 1-800 number. But nobody's looking at this show to find that 800 number because Google exists.
Right.
Oh, what a time to be alive.
So, switching over to football here, we might as well answer Brad's question. The prediction against the Jags is the Eagles win easily. This is a bad Jags team.
Or do they win easily, though? Because look at Jacksonville against Green Bay last week. Took a last-second field goal for Green Bay to beat Jacksonville last week, 30-27.
Yeah, I don't see the Jags doing that multiple weeks in a row. That was a game where they actually weren't overly, mistake prone that they've been every other week. And then, of course, they still don't play defense. So,
yeah,
I feel like Barkley's going to have a day. I think the line on that game is like 9 points. I think it's 9. Maybe
is the game in Philly?
It is.
Oh, okay, then that makes sense.
Yeah. No, like they're going to beat up on the Jags.
But, one of the things I took away from last night's game is
that Aaron Rodgers is officially washed up and needs to hand over the rest of his contract and leave.
But Garrett Wilson, dude, this guy's hands. I mean, he's got some of the best hands in football. I mean, that acrobatic catch where he gets it, he does the old Bill Beckham catch. I mean, gee, I mean, I thought he was a good. I mean, he makes all the tough catches, right? I mean, he always makes some good catches, but that one last night just took. I mean, it took the cake. I mean,
that game last night was terrible. Like it
the
was
game itself was terrible. No, I'm not saying that, but I mean,
bad game. They were
yeah.
playing hot potato with a win, right? They're
Yeah,
like,
they
no,
were.
you take the win. No, you take the win. Like it was just bad football. And it's funny because it was coming off of a week that I was just like, oh, Giants, Steelers, like this game is hot trash. And then they turn around and put an even worse primetime game on. And
that's the thing though. That's why when these primetime schedules get released as early as they do, they're looking at it from a Houston's going to be a great team. The Jets are going to be a great team with Aaron Rodgers. Like, this is a primetime Thursday night matchup that you want to do. That's why when it comes to like any primetime game, whether it's Monday night, I'm not going to say, but whether it's Sunday night or something like that, you should be able to flex that game every week based on the matchups that you're seeing heading into the week. Like,
well, they could have flexed this though. They just didn't because this is late enough in the year. They had enough notice. They knew.
Yeah, Minnesota had their game flexed on Sunday to Sunday night. Now they were supposed to play the Colts at noon on Sunday. Now they're playing Sunday night.
Yeah, no, but that's what I mean is they could have flexed last week and this week. They didn't, but they could have. So yeah, I mean,
I think the Thursday night games are hard though because if you're flexing that out of Thursday, who can you ultimately be like on short notice? Oh, by the way, we're flexing these teams out of Thursday. We want you guys to go there and do it. Like that's why the Thursday night games I think are tougher to flex out.
So they have to give you a full month to flex it, but they could have.
Yeah,
right.
That being said, it's Thursday night, and they just seem to like trash games on Thursday night.
The only day that Thursday night football actually works and where the quality of play is actually good is Thanksgiving.
Yeah, of course.
Because Detroit knows that they're playing on Thanksgiving every year. Dallas knows they're playing on Thanksgiving like every year.
Yeah.
But every other Thursday night game during the year, for the most part, outside of the season opening game, because you always know the Super Bowl winner gets that first Thursday night game.
Yeah.
The quality of play on Thursday is never going to be great because these teams are coming off a short week. One team's chances are they got to travel cross country, or one team's got to travel from their own facility to this other team after only having one practice. You know the quality is not going to be good on Thursdays.
Well, they also generally don't have the best teams playing on Thursday night. Like they schedule bad games.
And look at
Houston.
Look at Houston's schedule coming up in December. Did you see that?
What's that?
No,
I said, look at Houston's schedule coming up in December. Did you see what they have to go through in December? And you want to talk about a team that's going to suffer a terrible quality of play? Wait till Houston.
Yeah.
Houston has 3 games in 10 days.
Yeah, it's what the Seahawks just got done with.
They have the Sunday game on the 15th.
Yeah.
Then Houston plays Kansas City on Saturday the 21st, and then they play Wednesday on Christmas Day. Like, you want to talk about a team that's going to have a pathetic showing, it's going to be that Christmas Day game for Houston because it's literally going to be, oh, we played Saturday. Shit, we are literally playing on Wednesday and are going to have no practices before this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Rob, that flexed game took out a game that was going to be just as bad because it was the Eagles and
it wasn't Eagles and Jags. It was Christ, what game was it that got flexed though? I can look.
Yeah, I thought that one was the Eagles Jags that got flexed for a game that's also going to be not great.
No, I thought it was Raiders and Bengals. Because now the Raiders and Bengals are playing at 3 or at 12 now. I thought their game was supposed to be the Sunday night game.
I don't think so. I thought it was the Eagles game.
No, because the Eagles and Jags are playing at 3.
I know.
Minnesota was supposed to play at noon, so whatever game got flexed out has to be a noon kick. That's why I think it was the Raiders and Bengals because they have the noon game.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I seem to remember that being the other way, but either way, it doesn't matter. They're not playing there anymore. So.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still not a great game. Like Colts Vikings isn't going to be a good.
It could be though, because look who the quarterback is now.
Yeah, you have a lot more faith in Flacco than I do.
Hey, he single-handedly got the stinking Browns to
I
the
will say
playoffs
this, I do
last year.
think
So
Flacco gives them the
You
better
got to pump
chance.
the brakes with that. Like everybody's saying that, oh, Flacco saved the Browns. Like, yes, he put up some yards. Look at his touchdowns and interceptions. He didn't light it up out there. Like
the touchdowns he did, not the interceptions.
everybody needs to calm down. Like he wasn't great. He was decent, and that worked because the rest of that team is stacked. The
But I
Colts,
do think he gives them a better
no
chance.
measurement
than
is
what
stacked.
Richardson was doing.
The
Yeah,
Colts
I think,
are not
I think he
stacked.
gives them a better chance than Richardson. Honestly,
Oh, yeah.
I think Flacco's going to give him a better. I think
Honestly,
he's
not
going to be a better
against,
game
not against
manager.
Minnesota's defense, though.
That's not what I'm saying. I didn't say he wasn't an upgrade from Richardson. I'm just saying let's calm down with him being
Oh,
world
for
beaters
sure.
out
No,
here.
I got you.
Anthony Richardson honestly
Yeah.
gives the Colts a better chance to beat Minnesota because of his running ability. And for how much Minnesota blitzes, Richardson can beat that blitz with his legs versus Joe Flacco is not a guy that
He's a statue.
he's a statue. And I mean, you look at how the Lions beat the Vikings. You look at how the Lions beat the Vikings. They beat
That's right. Super Flacco to the rescue. That's
the
right.
Lions,
Get him out.
the Lions beat the Vikings by basically running the ball against the blitz with Jahmyr Gibbs, which opened up the passing game. And then you look at how the Rams beat the Vikings last Thursday. Matthew Stafford got the ball out so quick that Minnesota didn't have a chance to really get any pressure on him.
Yeah, well, it also helped that he had
Yeah,
Cup
two guys,
and
yeah.
Puka back.
But Flacco's not a guy that can get rid of the ball quick. So even if he's
Well, they also don't have the personnel to throw it too quick.
that's why Richardson would have
not a
made more
great team.
sense to start this week because he can give them that outside running factor that Jahmyr Gibbs did because of his speed to get to the outside. And that's how you can neutralize the blitz a little bit. If they were going to make this move, I would have waited till after this game to make it.
Nah, you can't. Because they didn't make the move because they wanted Flacco. They made the move because dude tapped out and then told the truth.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to tap out, it's fine, but at least lie about it. Just be like, hey, yeah, my shoulder hurt or whatever. Like you can't come out and be like, I was tired. Like,
I mean, I give him credit for being honest, though.
Managing now in football, I mean, what are we doing here?
I give him credit for being honest, though.
I do not, because that's a good way to lose your locker room, which is exactly why Flacco is going to start this week.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's almost as bad as what Watson did with Cleveland when he walked off the field and basically quit on the team. I mean, it's almost
Yeah,
the
but
same thing.
At that point, nobody believed in Watson anyway. That guy's played
Well,
like
that's
hot
true.
garbage.
Nobody did.
and it's amazing what happened. Like Jameis Winston comes in and throws 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in his first start. Something
Yeah,
that Deshaun Watson has not done in 2 years of Cleveland.
no, I mean, that being said, if the Ravens actually played smart football the way that they've won the other games, they would have won that game too, because they were right there completely.
No, I'm not saying they wouldn't have. I'm
running
just looking at Winston's performance as a whole. Like Winston played better in one game than Watson's played in basically 2 years as a starter.
Oh, no question. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why,
I mean,
that's why they're going to be in better shape sticking with Winston the rest of this year. And if there's a way they can get out of Watson's contract next year, they'd be better off just sticking with Winston long term right now.
I mean, even if they can't get out of it, they need to not have Deshaun out there because he hasn't played well. The only game he was playing exceptionally well was the one he got hurt in last year.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's been average or worse the rest of his starts. So I mean, yeah, and it's something that I said. I was like, oh, the Browns get better as soon as he got hurt. I was just like, oh, the Browns are better today.
And you know what else is funny about that too? I find it very ironic that the day that Winston gets hurt, Nick Chubb says, "I'm ready to play."
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because he was cleared to play in week 5, but didn't suit up until week 8, and week 8 was the first time that Watson wasn't out there. So I kind of find it very funny that Watson gets hurt and then Nick Chubb's like, "I'm good. We can go in now."
Hey,
Yeah, because he has a chance to win now.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, they're too far behind, so it won't matter. But they're not making the playoffs.
I mean, if you're Cleveland, though, do you go for the number 1 pick and try to get a guy like?
They're not bad enough to get the number 1 pick.
They only have 2 wins though. There's 11 teams in the there's 11 teams in the NFL right now that have 2 wins or less, and Carolina has 1 win. I mean,
I think Carolina's still at the bottom of the barrel.
They are. They have 1 win, but if Carolina goes and beats
Tennessee,
Carolina can beat the Giants this weekend.
So Tennessee. Yeah,
Carolina can beat the Giants this weekend and get the 2 wins. If
Carolina's not beating the Giants.
They could. I'm not saying they will, but they could. But like, there's so many teams right now
It's
that
snow in my office too.
yeah, unlike the like, I will agree that
Talking about
Carolina and Tennessee are the bottom feeders of the NFL.
I mean, even the Jaguars are 2-6.
Yeah, but given how the NFL has gone this year, where we've seen a lot of teams that we didn't expect to be good are good, and we've seen like a lot of teams that we thought were going to be good that are average right now. There really realistically is.
There you go.
Yeah,
there's your garbage teams on the AFC side.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that list; those are all teams within one game of that number one pick. Where stranger things have happened. Like we've seen teams that are terrible somehow win 2 or 3 games and miss out on the number one pick. All these teams are gonna. I'm gonna take the Jets out of it because Jets are not gonna. I don't think be bad enough to win 3-4 games. I think they will get to 5 or 6 wins. But you look at the Patriots. They're not taking a quarterback if they got the number one pick. Jaguars wouldn't take it.
The Patriots probably win this week because they're playing the Titans.
Of the teams on this list, though, if any one of these teams ended up with the number one pick, the only team that theoretically would be targeting a quarterback would be Cleveland.
That is not true.
Who else do you? Will Levis. Okay, yeah, Cleveland and Tennessee.
And the Raiders.
Raiders, I think, believe in Alex O'Connell though, because they you don't think they do?
No, they already didn't believe in him. That's why they brought Minshew in the first place.
Yeah.
So no, like you're out of your mind. There's plenty of guys. There's plenty of teams that want a quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And, I mean, realistically, if the Dolphins continue to slide, they would take one also because you've already seen that Tua may not last. So if you've paid Tua, but you can get an insurance policy behind him, you do it.
So the question,
especially with the way he's playing, I mean, he's still running the football like he's a running back instead of.
And then you have the Panthers, who obviously show they're not in on the Bryce thing.
Well, that was my question too, though. They're going back to Bryce Young this week, I believe.
Yeah, well, that's because Dalton got hurt.
Yeah,
he got in a car wreck.
Do you think that Carolina would draft a quarterback number 1 overall?
I don't know why you wouldn't. I don't know why the Giants wouldn't. I don't know why the Saints wouldn't. I mean, you're talking about a lot of teams that could take a real look at a quarterback, and the Browns are too good of a roster for them to be in that position, where a lot of these are bad rosters. They're going to lose a lot of games. Yeah. Now, the Saints probably win this week because Carr, in theory, might be available. But, I mean, and they're playing, the Panthers, I believe. So, like, that's a very winnable game for them. But, I mean, you're looking
at – the Panthers are playing the Giants, aren't they? Or is that next week?
No, the Panthers are playing the Giants, I believe.
Oh, you might be right.
Because somebody made a joke about it that Germany was all.
They're playing the Saints. They're playing the Saints.
Then it's next week because somebody was making a joke about it, saying how Germany was all mad at us for World War II, so we're going to punish them even more by sending Carolina and the Giants there.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, no, they're playing the Saints this week. So yeah, I mean, the Saints probably win. The Saints won't really be in it because they are good enough, but at the same time, Carr's contract comes up, I think, after next season. So, I mean, they have to be thinking about what it is they're doing next anyway. But the Giants are they're out for Daniel Jones at the end of the season, so they got to make a decision there also. So no, there's a lot of teams that could be in the running for a quarterback that are bad enough to draft one, and there's really only 3 options coming in this draft. So
I'm going to go as far as saying only 2 options, really.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was certainly a first round. There's only 2 options first round, but within the first 3 rounds, there's 3 capable guys.
Who do you think are the 3?
That's something we got to talk about on Monday because we are way out of time. If you've been watching here on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Definitely helps us bring our content to you. And of course, if you are watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Other than that, have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy football. See y'all on Monday.
In Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports Podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast Podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows, giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on